Welcome to the Nature Based Therapy Podcast, where we explore the healing power of nature through inspiring stories and guided experiences. Let's reconnect with the wild within.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to the Nature Based Therapy Podcast. In this interview, we have Sheryl from Nourishment Radical Wellness, all the way from Canada on Vancouver Island. Welcome, Sheryl.
Hi, Kit. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us and talking to us about, nature-based therapy and the benefits of nature-based therapy. And I guess what's unique for you and how you practice nature-based therapy? And one of the first questions that I guess I start with is, what is your early childhood experience of being in nature? Because I think this is a really important question when we explore nature therapy.
Yeah, it really is. It does shape you, doesn't it? I had a really lovely experience of nature as a child. My parents were pretty um, big into nature. They took us out camping quite a bit and to the forest and to the lake. I grew up in Ontario, so I grew up near the big Great Lakes, and we used to go to the lakes all the time. And in the fall, we used to go hiking in the forest, and then they used to take us tobogganing in the winter. So I really love nature. I didn't see it as dangerous per se. I just thought it was really a lovely place to be, and I always enjoyed going out and exploring um, and being with my family. I think that was a really important part of it because I had three older sisters and busy working parents, and so it was one of the only times we got together as a big family. We'd go skiing, both downhill and cross country. And those are some of my most favorite memories as a child.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, you highlighted something really important is that family connection,
Mhm.
especially when we have busy lives and, where parents are at work, kids are at school, and having that time to come together. And now, you reflect on those memories and experiences that
Mhm.
formed kind of, and I guess, are these things that you still practice now as an adult? Did these activities inform how you engage with nature now?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Skiing, for example. Like, as we were talking, I was like reliving very vividly the us getting ready, waking up before, it was dark, and my mom would be making sandwiches and hot cocoa in thermoses, and we'd be running around in our long underwear, getting ready to go out skiing. And like I've loved skiing ever since. Taking my daughter in the winter this year was sort of a very similar experience for me, introducing it to her again. Um, and it was, yeah, it is such vivid and tangible memories. Like I can feel them and see them in my head of us skiing together in the snow and, you know, sitting around a fire outside. It was really, really, really lovely. Yeah.
And I love that you're bringing that now into your family and sharing those same memories, and that your daughter will have those memories,
Mhm.
and hopefully introduce those activities to her family as well. And so I guess it's that, generational nature connection that we can bring into our lives. And so when you reflect on, I guess, yeah, looking at your early childhood experience and how that's informed, the activities you like to do personally, and now you're a certified nature-based therapist, and how you practice that, not just personally, but how do you bring that into your professional life as a nature-based therapist? What's important for you, and what do you think is your, you know, I guess your passion area of nature therapy? What is it you want to share with people?
Um, I think the aspect of nature-based therapy I really enjoy the most is reminding people that we are part of nature, that we're connected to it, but we are nature. We exist within it, it exists within us. And to remind people that regardless of how long it's been since you've been in nature, or if you don't experience it, that we can reconnect with it at any time, even if it's something as simple as going to your local park, or growing some basil on your windowsill if you don't have access to nature. If you live in a high rise, even noticing the clouds, watching the rain come down, reminding everybody that we are inherently, we are nature. We are exactly what nature is, but just in a different form. And that we're just existing in our human bodies, but we have such connection and immersion in nature and it in us. And to remind people to notice what it's trying to tell us about ourselves, tell us about what's happening in the world. It's a really beautiful thing when people are able to take that few moments and slow down and go, oh, wow, I didn't realize that noticing, the tide come in and the tide go out, how much that would resonate with what's just happened in my life, or how it might make me feel emotional, because of a connection that I remember. It's really beautiful to watch people slow down and see themselves reflected in nature.
Almost like nature is a mirror. And,
Mm-hmm.
what I love about the work you do, and the particular you do, is around integrating creativity
Mm-hmm.
and the creative processes that you introduce into your programs that really allow people to, see that mirror, which enables them to tap into that right side of the brain, problem solving, creativity, and even supporting them through life transitions. And did you want to share a little bit more about the creative processes that you use in your programs?
Oh, for sure. I'd love to. I really love photography. It's one of my loves, and so I'd like to bring photography in. Again, no one needs to have skills. We all have a phone. That's all you need. Um, I love to have people go out and take pictures that I want them to utilize photography in a way that isn't thinking. I don't want them to use their left brain, but just go out and, okay, what is drawing me to it, and what do I want, and just take the photo without using too much thought. Don't use that thinking part of your brain, using the feeling. Okay, my body's telling me I want to take a photo of this leaf. Don't question it. Don't go into too much detail about why. Just take it and then move on, and again, feel into it. So I find that really interesting. It really can bring up some really interesting conversations afterwards as to, oh, I never thought about why my body was telling me to take this photo. And now that I'm sitting with it, looking at it, I'm starting to unravel the story behind why my body wanted me to take this photo. But also, nature art, nature poetry. I'm really a big fan of Alex Goldsworthy, who does in situ art using nature itself. So creating pictures of using stones or leaves or the sea or the kelp at the sea shore. And again, not thinking into why I'm creating this picture, as in like I'm trying to create a house or I'm trying to create a portrait, but literally allowing your body to say why I'm drawn to this rock and I'm going to move it here, and now I'm drawn to this leaf and I'm going to move it here. And you give sort of a 20 or 30 minute or however long time frame, and then at the end you step back and see what was created, and then afterwards you think about and talk about, you know, what drew you to it, and maybe what is it trying to tell you, and reflect about what's happening or has happened in your life. It's a really good it's a beautiful practice for integration as well, like for integrating experiences at a retreat, like say a yoga retreat or a meditation retreat or plant medicine, because people come home from those experiences where they've had lots and lots of big things happen, and they've had all of the space and the time to have these revelations, but yet they come home and they go back to their regular life, not realizing that to stay that new person with these new revelations, you have to shift your day-to-day life. And so I love to use this as an integrative practice to help people learn how to slow down and to weave this new beautiful threads into their everyday life so that it stays, and so that they don't have to continually, you know, it's beautiful to go to a meditation retreat, but you don't need to do it every month, because you're actually getting long-term benefits and changes through integrating. And I find art, any type of artistic creative practice, is a wonderful way, because it allows you to bypass thinking and allow your body to just really tell you what it wants to tell you without you having to second guess it.
And what I'm hearing you saying, it's about really connecting to our intuition,
Yes.
connecting to our sixth sense, and really dropping into the body, because the body knows. And, you know, we know Bessel van der Kolk's work in The Body Keeps the Score when we're working with trauma. And I think with, you know, my work with compassionate inquiry is really about, you know, checking in with the body and what would the body say, or what is the body informing us what's happening. And I think you've touched on two very important points here, is the value of listening to our body and tuning in to our intuition, and not doubting or second guessing that, but actually really listening to that inner healing intelligence and wisdom that we all have. But we often dismiss it, or we haven't learned how to connect to it. We're so busy in the mind trying to analyze and think logically, which is more that left side of the brain. But we have another brain, which is our gut brain, which is exactly, I think, what you're talking about, and going there and listening to that. But the other point you made, I think, is the importance of integration. And we think, you know, we work hard, we dismiss our intuition, we pedal on with life, and then we take a weekend break to a retreat. But by the time we get to the retreat and we drop into our body, it's almost time to go. Yes. And I think the key healing part is not being at the retreat, but it's what are we integrating? What did we learn in that space that we then can weave and integrate into our everyday life, so we don't have to keep going back, that it's almost sustainable healthcare.
Exactly.
And it's about self-healing. We can go in and, you know, learn tools, but I think the key part is integrating those tools into our everyday life for sustainable healthcare. That's very empowering, because it says that we're in charge of our own health. And we have the ability to practice this on a daily basis. And I love the creative ways and processes that you bring in, and looking at, you know, nature. We are nature. We're not separate from the natural world. And this is everything we learn in nature-based therapy. And what is nature-based therapy is that we're really self-healing. When we work with nature, we're working with ourselves.
Exactly.
And nature is available 24/7. And we can practice photography day and night. we can do artistic art day and night, inside, outside. It's available and it's free. And I love you mentioning we can do it just with an iPhone
Oh, exactly. You don't
or
need
a
any.
smartphone. Like you don't need fancy cameras to go out and capture this. And I guess in looking at, how do we integrate this into everyday life? What might be one thing someone could start doing now to increase that connection to the natural worlds?
There's so many. If I'm going to go down the creative route, the artistic route, when people go for their, go outside, go for a walk, take out your phone, and if something grabs your eye, take a quick photo of it to bring back home so that later you can view it and see how it, if it brings that feeling up again. But also slowing down, just really slowing down the process. Sometimes even going into nature and allowing yourself to just slow down. Feel yourself being in nature, breathing slower, count your breath cycle, allow your inhales to increase to 4 or 5 seconds, allow your exhales to increase to 4 or 5 seconds, and really drop into your body so that you're present. And then when you're present, you can view nature or be a part of nature through a different set of eyes, through a different perspective. And sometimes, taking a picture can help you do that, because we're all so busy and we all have like 1,000 things going on in our brains, lists, plans, picking up the kids from school. I have to go to the dentist. I've got to go to the grocery store. I have to make dinner and someone's coming over. That we just it's never ending, and we could continue to have that you know cycle of thought continually going, but let's slow down and let's take a minute and be in nature and notice, and just simply notice what you're looking at, whether it's you're being rained on or it's snow. It doesn't even have to be a beautiful day. It could be, standing outside in a rainstorm. Where's the rain coming from? Where's the wind coming from? What side of my body is it touching? And how is that making me feel? It can be
Mm.
something just as simply every day as that.
I love that. And I think that's a basis of, you know, good mental health is not, what am I thinking, but how does it make me feel? What am I feeling? And I think we've become disconnected to feeling and I think, I love that noticing that you bring up, because do we notice things? Do we notice? Do we slow down to connect and to notice? Because we can't feel unless we're noticing.
Exactly.
And so the noticing comes first,
Mhm.
and then the feeling comes after the noticing.
Mhm.
And, you have connection, noticing, feeling.
Yep.
And I think that's the beautiful process that through creative means, you're connecting, noticing, and then feeling, and then reflecting.
Mhm.
It's almost like a 4-step process that you've integrated into what's happening for that person and then slowing down. And I think we know the benefits of this. We know the benefits of nature-based therapy. We both have experienced it personally, professionally. We do it in our practice. My question is, why is it important now more than ever? Do you think in today's society?
Mhm. That's a wonderful question, because it is so important. We are so, as Western society, so driven to succeed monetarily that we forget that what are we succeeding for? What is that drive going to get us? But we keep ascending, career ladder, and we think that we're going to arrive. someday with what I've achieved, and we'll just all of a sudden be happy. When most people I encounter these days, they've had that 6-figure a year job, and they were very successful, and they were driven, and they were working 60, 70 hours a week. And then they realized how unhappy they were. And it's that slowing down and experiencing life in concert with nature, where you get to notice and be a part of nature every day, as opposed to running through it. And we're in offices, we're on computers all the time, which is wonderful. We get to connect with people halfway across the world, which we never could before. But it's remembering that we also have the responsibility to our bodies and our a mental and emotional health, to connect with ourselves in ways that has nothing to do with monetary remuneration. Like, no, we don't need to monetize it. We just need to go outside and allow our bodies to be free enough to connect with nature. And I know people are going to say, but I live in an inner city, I don't have access to green space. And yes, it's true, it's harder for some people to be able to connect with nature, but there's always the sky to look at. You can grab go sit in a park somewhere, grow basil on your windowsill. Even just connecting with your pets or animals can, they're part of nature as well. So connecting with nature now is incredibly important for our mental health and for our emotional health, because we're learning that the drive to succeed and be driven by money it never gets us where we think we never gets us to where we think we want to be.
It's almost like an empty cup, and it's like an illusion. And I think, when we lead these busy lives and we're so busy, it's a distraction too to feeling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as soon as we slow down, we start to feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think the beautiful thing about nature-based therapy, and especially the way you do it, bringing in the creativity as well, allows us to be held in a safe space with nature,
Mm-hmm.
where we can slow down, we can feel, we can tune in, we can really listen to what is it we need and what is it we want in life.
Mm-hmm.
But doing that in a safe container and a safe space where we can bring out our authentic self. And I think that's what creative pursuits like, arts and photography allow us to connect to our authentic self. And I think when we go back in that first question I asked you, reflecting on our early childhood experiences of being in the natural world or connected with the natural world,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like a remembering
Mm-hmm.
that once we enter the school system and then we enter university and then the workforce, we're in this system where we forget who we are
Mm-hmm.
and we become something we're not. The essence of nature-based therapy and integrating creative processes is to support people to return home to who they are and finding that authenticity. And I think reevaluating our values.
Yes. Yes. We're taught to forget. We're taught to, when kids go to school and they look outside and they're like, don't look outside, pay attention to the board, pay attention to your school book. We're taught that we have to shift away from, you know, daydreaming by watching the clouds go by, or the leaves blowing across the school field. So we really are very early on taught that we can't to separate ourselves from nature, to become part of the system, part of, becoming an adult that makes money and buys a house and buys a car and buys a boat and, vacations twice a year. Like, we're taught that turning away from nature is how we get what we want, when, like I said, a lot of people I've met recently realize that they have achieved all that they're supposed to achieve, and they're very unhappy.
It's so true. And I love that you bring up daydreaming. And daydreaming is often seen as a distraction or you're disconnected. But actually, what daydreaming is, it's actually a connection. It's actually a reconnection to the authentic self. And I think when we daydream, we're tuning in to feeling, we're tuning into creativity, we're tuning into imagination. And we're really tuning into that right side of the brain. And it's often seen as, in school, to daydream is to drift off and you're not paying attention. And it's a negative thing. But imagine if we allowed daydreaming to happen within the workplace, within the schools. Imagine the problem solving that might come from that. The creativity and the ideas that might come from that daydreaming.
Exactly.
That can be implemented into what you're doing. So it's not saying stop doing what you're doing, but how do we do things differently?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
I love that. Yeah. And how do you think, I guess, looking at the future of humanity, because we're going through changes now when we look at social crisis, environmental crisis. And as a social worker, I look at social justice, environmental justice, the two go hand in hand.
Exactly.
When we look at the importance of environmentalism and shifting changes in our society, I think, your views on what place does nature have in that space, or how we value nature and how we connect to nature. What are some things we can integrate into our everyday life? Even just small things that can make a difference.
What I love is there's actually evidence-based research now. There's more and more studies showing that the more time we spend in nature, it produces awe, and the feeling of awe is different than the feeling of action, where we're able to really connect and fall in love with nature. And by falling in love with nature, we're realizing that we are not that separate from it. And we may then want to support saving it, or putting priority on trees standing in the forest versus, board feet cut lumber. And that will, that the value they have is infinite, and that we don't have to turn it into a monetary system, a monetary reward, and that connecting with nature gives us that love. The more we spend time in nature, the more awe, because you walk into a forest and the beautiful smells, the sounds of birds and other forest animals, or going to the ocean and closing your eyes and listening to the lapping at the shore, even the rock, the water rushing against the rocks or the sand, depending on what type of ocean you're at. It creates a feeling in us that, we become more environmentally inclined, which could hopefully the more people we can get falling in love with nature, the more of us will want to, save it and not want to, let the planet die and go live on Mars, like there's so much here that is beautiful, and to immerse yourself in that for a while can make you want to have it for future generations.
I love that. And I think, the work that you're doing now is connecting people to nature to have those moments of awe and those mystic experiences, and to remember what it was like to be connected to the natural world, through the programs that you're running, and giving people an opportunity to slow down, reconnect, and find that, I think, balance in life as well, where how do we integrate nature into our everyday life so we can keep being, positive role models, or being good parents and being a good employee. How do we keep going? How do we sustain our own healthcare, or how do we sustain systems by integrating simple processes of just reconnecting to the natural world? It's really, really important work that you're doing. And if you'd like to share, are there any programs that are coming up for you? Any new things that you're introducing into your practice that you would like to share?
Oh, thanks for asking, Kit. Yes, I'm doing right now. I've got a fairly new program that I've been running for a little while that I really love. It's called Taishiki. It's a program of profound awareness. It's essentially tapping into your seven senses. Well, we actually have, I think there's like something like 30 some senses in our bodies, but these are seven senses. So the five regular ones, your sight, your hearing, touch, taste, and smell. And then I've also added in proprioception and interoception. So noticing proprioception where your body is in space, and interoception what's happening inside of your body. And I do that in nature if I can. I also do it online, which is kind of fun to, where we do a meditative practice and then I send people out into nature to do some homework. But I love to do it in person, where we get together for quite a long time. It's like a good 2 to 4 hour program, depending on how lengthy we want to make it. And it's been really interesting having the participants exclaim, at the end that, wow, I never thought about just what it would be like to really focus on my hearing, and, hearing close by and then hearing farther and farther away and then bringing it back in. And most people have a really hard time with interoception because, of course, we start to ignore our bodies and what it's telling us, and this is a way to tap into, like, remembering, like, your body tells you when it's hungry, your body tells you when it's thirsty, your body tells you. And so relearning all of that is really beautiful. And then I'm also it's in the works. It's going to be a little while before I bring it out, but a program of nature-based therapy, creative art, nature-based therapy for life transitions. So, for example, if you're a woman who's going through menopause, or you've just had a baby, um, even if it's life transitions, like you've moved or had a divorce or something like that, but something that's really shifted who you were and who you're becoming, and you're having a hard time really landing into that new being of who you are to become. And this is a program that mimics the seasonal cycles of the earth, as well as the seasonal cycles of your body, and transitions. And so I'm really excited to bring that out, but it probably won't be for another few months. I've still got some work to do on that one.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's very, very exciting and I think very unique and very much needed at this time. And where can people find out about your programs?
My programs are listed on my website, which is nourishment.ca. I'm pretty sure it'll probably be in the show notes at the end. Yeah, I also have Nourishment Radical Wellness on Instagram and LinkedIn, so people can find me in those places as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing your story and sharing your knowledge and your time with us today. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I love your insights and your wisdom.
Oh, thanks so much, Kit. It's so nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity.
You are welcome.
Thank you for joining us on the journey into nature's embrace. Subscribe for more insights and stories that nurture the soul. Until next time, stay grounded.